Hi, I'm Violet Tremblay, and I am here for Murder, Mystery, and Masterpieces. So basically, I'm going to paint a painting and tell you guys a true crime story, a murder mystery, maybe a crazy story that I've heard that I think is pretty cool. So if you like that sort of stuff, keep watching. Also, subscribe. Super helpful. Like, comment, all that sort of stuff. We're way too early in this process for haters, so keep that away. Okay? So I'm going to list all of the colors that I use in the description box below, as well as the paintbrushes. Now, if you guys hear a dog in the background, it's my dog Sandy. We're getting a fence back there, and she is not having it. So it is what it is. We're just going to keep moving. Okay? So one last thing. This video is not for kids, okay? It's going to have adult content. Going to be talking about some graphic things, so please, no kiddos, okay? All right, moving on. So today, we are talking about a story from New Orleans. I am from Baton Rouge. I went to school in New Orleans, so I heard about this story a long time ago when I went on a ghost tour of the quarter. It was super cool. And this particular story really stuck with me. So when I decided I wanted to do murder mystery masterpieces, I was like, yeah, I have to do this one. So you guys are probably familiar with it, and I'm going to tell the most popular version of this story. But in doing research, there's like 1,002 different versions of this story. So if you know one of those other versions, good for you. All right, so this is the story of Marie Delphine LaLaurie, okay? So when she was actually born Marie Delphine McCarty, okay? And whenever she was born to a really wealthy New Orleans family. And that's important, okay? Keep knowing that. Now, she was born in 1787 in New Orleans. Her dad was Bartholomew, let me read this because this is a lot. Bartholomew Lewis McCarty. It's a lot, huh? And her mom was Marie Lovable. That's kind of a nice last name. Doesn't really go with our story. Still nice. So her father was in the military, and Marie lived a really charmed life. She lived in a huge house. They had lots of land. They had some plantations. And of course, they had slaves because that's what you did back in the day. Not great. That's what you did. They had a lot of slaves. Now, her father was known for being very kind to his slaves. He actually emancipated a couple of them, which was kind of a big deal. And he actually ended up having a relationship with one of them that he had freed. And he had a baby with that slave, okay? So also good to know, all right? So Marie, whenever she was 14 years old, she got married for the first time. Keep that in mind. And she got married to a Spanish officer. Now, this Spanish officer, he was in New Orleans because the Spanish king had sent him there. And this officer was really upset with the Spanish crown because he's a widower, because whenever they I guess immigrated from Spain to New Orleans, his wife died on the way there. So he blamed the Spanish crown. So by the time that Marie and this Spanish officer got married, he was not in good standing with the Spanish crown. So he was getting sent on this really horrible assignment, which pretty much was going to be like, hey, you're going to go on this assignment and you're going to die. So Marie's like, I just married this guy and he's being sent to this on this terrible assignment. I'm going to have to go with him. Not cool. So Marie and her new husband, they sailed to Spain, and Marie straight up met with the Spanish queen. Crazy, right? Met with the Spanish queen, and the Spanish queen loved Marie so much that she talked to the king and got him to basically quit giving Marie's husband so much crap. And they let him go. They said, okay, fine, you can go live back in New Orleans and we'll leave you alone. I want to know what Marie did behind those closed doors with that queen. Like, I don't know. Did she bring her something to like smoke? I don't know. So anyway, at this point, Marie is expecting. And they're like, okay, well, Marie, you need to go ahead and go back to New Orleans, and you need to set sail before you get too much further along in your pregnancy. Well, Marie sets sail, and she actually says, okay, you know what? I'm going to wait for you in Havana. So she tells her husband, Mr. Spanish officer, that I cannot remember his name, I'm going to wait for you in Havana, and when you get there, then we'll go to New Orleans together. Well, it's a couple months. Marie is really far along. She's like seriously about to have the baby. Her husband gets on the ship to come to Havana to meet her so they can go to New Orleans, and the ship hits a sandbar, and the ship actually goes down. So Marie finds this out, and she ends up having the baby, like at the same time, like within a span of 2 weeks, okay? So she stays in Havana long enough to baptize the baby and bury her husband, okay? So, poor Marie. I know. Right now it's poor Marie, right? So she goes back to New Orleans with her new baby. Oh, guys, guess what? I just remembered his name. His name is Ramon. Her husband's name is Ramon. Marie's back in New Orleans. She's living with her family. In early March 1807, Marie's mother died. And this is said to have a huge impact on her because Marie and her mother were very, very close. So when Marie's mother died, she was rightfully really upset. And actually, I believe that she ended up getting married 2 weeks after her mother died, okay? So whenever she got married to husband number 2, his name is Jean-Paul Blanc. He was a businessman, okay? And he was much older than she was. So she was 28 years old and he was 50. Which wasn't really uncommon for the time, but still, it's worth noting. This Mr. Blanc, he, like I said, was a businessman, and he ended up using almost all of Marie's inheritance to purchase property and slaves, okay? And Marie was not loving it. She's like, excuse me, what now? You're using all my money? So that causes some problems with the couple. And a little bit later, after they have had 5 kids together, he dies. And it doesn't say how he dies. I think that's suspicious after getting more into the story, but he dies. But he leaves her in debt too, like $160,000 in debt. And this is back in the 1800s. So that's like $2.5 million nowadays. That's a lot of debt. Well, Marie is a pretty industrious young lady. So she still manages to take care of her. She now has 6 kids, okay? So back in the 1800s, her husband has left her in so much ridiculous debt. And her family, thankfully, is still really wealthy. So her estate is in debt, but her family's still there. Well, her dad dies, okay? And that's a bad thing because, the dad dies. That's sad. But he leaves her a substantial amount of money, including some plantation, some property, slaves, the whole shebang, okay? So Marie buys a house for herself, and she's living good, right? She's doing well. I know this painting is looking crazy, but it's meant to be. I'm not done. It's going to be very kind of whimsical. You guys will get the picture. It's inspired by New Orleans, okay? All right, so we just talked about husband number 2. Done, okay? She inherits the property from her dad. She is doing well for herself by herself. Around the same time, let's see, in 1825, there's a doctor that comes over from France. And his name is Dr. Louis LaLaurie, okay? Now, let me read to you what it says that he is. He is a destroyer of hunches. What the heck is that? Well, I was like, speaking of Quasimodo, sitting up straight, but he's a destroyer of hunches. Basically, he's a chiropractor, okay? And so he starts helping the wealthy people of New Orleans, and he starts making a name for himself. And so Marie decides she wants to bring one of her children who suffers from a hunch, kind of like I do right now, to Dr. LaLaurie. Well, Marie brings her child to Dr. LaLaurie, and they kind of hit it off. they start chatting and they kind of start dating, whatever dating might have been back then. Okay. There's a little bit of an age discrepancy. She's 38 and he's 23. So back then it wasn't abnormal for the woman to be much younger, but it was abnormal for the man to be much younger. Well, he still thought Marie was pretty hot. And it also helped she had lots of money. So they hit it off, and Marie becomes pregnant. Uh-oh. That's a bad thing back then. So they go get married. In fact, whenever they get married, they have them post-date the wedding certificate so it's not a scandal. So Dr. LaLaurie and Madame LaLaurie all live together with all 6 of her children from previous relationships, and then add that 7th child that they have together. And they're all living one big happy family. Now, apparently, Dr. LaLaurie is horrible to her. So he beats her. He is just really awful and terrible, right? Like, he's just a terrible human. And in fact, she files for separation from him. Kind of a big deal, right? And let me tell you what she said about it. It's kind of intense. She said, he treated her in such a manner as to render their living together insupportable. That's a lot to say. He sucks. So yeah, he was pretty terrible. He even beat her in front of people. So the judge granted her the separation. I bet it also helped she had a lot of money. And Dr. LaLaurie moved out. Now, we're kind of talking about a sad life right now, but this is where it gets kind of crazy, okay? So Dr. LaLaurie still would come over to the mansion. They had this mansion on the corner of Royal and Hospital Street, okay? Dr. LaLaurie would still come over and throw these big lavish parties with Marie. Whenever they have these big parties, there's always this band playing, like an orchestra, music. And Marie was known for wearing these big, beautiful gowns. And then she would leave once, twice, sometimes 3 times during the party and come back in a completely different, big, beautiful gown. Okay? So she was really known for that. And people started to get really excited about seeing what gown she had, what she was going to change into, which I have to admit, that'd be pretty, like cool. Like, oh, what's she going to wear next? Keep that in mind, okay, guys? Like, all the coolness ends here, right? So one day in 1834, a fire broke out at the LaLaurie mansion. Okay, so for some reason, like, a judge was the first one to get there. Okay, and it's not funny. I'm laughing because, like, it's crazy absurd. Like, you think everything's all normal and good, and then this. So the judge goes in and finds a 70-year-old slave that has been chained to an oven or a stove oven combo. And they put the fire out there. The fire has spread to other parts of the house, but they put the fire out, they get the slave free, and they ask her, like, what is going on? What happened? She said that she set the fire because she was trying to commit suicide. And they were like, what? And she said, I've been chained here for 12 years. 12 years, yeah. And she just couldn't take it anymore. And she didn't want to go up to the upper room because you don't come back from the upper room. What upper room? What are you talking about? So the judge, and I forgot to mention that this fire happened whenever there was a party going on, okay? So the judge, and the townspeople, they're trying to put out the fire. They're trying to salvage things from the fire to save the mansion, or at least to save their things. So the judge is like, okay, what's the upper room? I need to figure this out. So the judge goes to Mr. LaLaurie, who's here at the party, even though they separated, and says, can I have the keys to the upper room? Which, in fact, turns out to be the slave quarters, okay? And Dr. LaLaurie, I'm going to read you guys what he wrote. Like, he asked for the keys, and he refused to give him the keys, saying, there are those who would attend to their own affairs instead of officiously intermeddling with the concerns of other people. What? So instead of giving the judge the key, he was like, Nah, you being nosy. Which, man, he's got some guts on that one, huh? So the judge is like, I don't think so, son. He knocks the door down. And the next part is going to be graphic. Okay, guys? What he finds, I believe it is 7 slaves that he finds in this top room. And they're all chained up in some manner, okay? So there's a couple with collars, spiked collars around their necks so that they can't move. They have a couple that are chained to the wall. They have some that are chained from the ceiling by their necks. They find, I believe, one inside of a trunk still alive, but their bones are distorted so much that it looks like they've almost been folded into the trunk. And they have different degrees of severity of where the slaves are at in this process of gruesomeness, okay? So they bring the slaves out, they get them medical treatment, and they're really kind of freaked out. They're like, what in the world is happening, okay? So once the people start finding out what was happening, they freak out, okay? Because let me tell you, I'm going to back up just a little bit before I tell you what happens next. Remember how I told you they were doing all of those like really fancy parties and she would come down in different gowns? Y'all, she was up there experimenting on these slaves. And when she would get blood and all the nastiness on her gown, she would go change. Yeah. So she was going up there and using the sounds of the party to muffle their screams and their cries. So she'd go up there, break bones. She was trying to see how they would grow back if she broke them and reset them in a different way. And you remember how I said her husband was a chiropractor? Yeah, his nasty self, he was in on it too. Ooh, ooh, they just so gross and so nasty, okay? So, just telling you where the party stuff came from. Now, Marie and Nasty Hubby, they're like, crap, we got to get out of here, right? These people are mad. They see these slaves. It's not good for us. So the people are in the mansion. They're tearing things apart. They're super ticked. Marie and Dr. LaLaurie get in a carriage. They walk out past the people, and the people are so stunned to see them walking out. They're like, they kind of freeze, and they don't do anything to them. So Marie and Dr. LaLaurie get in the carriage and they start to drive away. That's when the people kind of wake up and they're like, oh, hell no, like, we got to stop this. They don't stop the carriage. Marie ends up making her way, Marie and the doctor, all the way to a ship in Lake Pontchartrain. And that ship goes to Alabama for just a little bit. And then she sails all the way to France. All the way to France. And she ends up, again, I laugh. It's not funny. It's just ridiculous. She ends up living her life with her children and old crazy Dr. LaLaurie in this little mansion in France. It's freaking ridiculous. Like nothing happened. I cannot believe it. So Marie LaLaurie, she ended up dying of an undiagnosed illness. All I know is I hope it was something super painful and lingering for her. Ooh. But here's a really creepy part. She died, let's see, in 1849. Her body was exhumed in 1851 and relocated back to New Orleans and buried in St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. Now, this is a little creepy. It was really kept hush-hush and quiet and secretive. So nobody really knew what that she had been relocated. Her gravesite wasn't discovered until 1941. They were probably quiet about that on purpose because people would have freaked out. I just don't understand why they had to move her. Like, leave New Orleans alone, you crazy person. Oh, anyway, so now the house actually where this happened still stands. It's been refurbished a ton. It's passed hands a lot. At one point, Nicolas Cage owned it. It's definitely an institution in New Orleans, just to stop by and see. Of course, everyone says that it's haunted, because why not? They said it's haunted by the slaves that she killed there. And in fact, whenever they went back to check out the property, they did find the bodies of slaves that had lived with her. So there were slaves that died in her possession, and it just is disgusting. And so my question to you guys, like, she sounded pretty normal-ish until she met Dr. LaLaurie. So did she always have this like crazy monster inside of her, or was it him? Did he bring it out in her? Like, why? I don't even, oh, goodness. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But the house is just creepy. You need to go see the house. If you are ever in New Orleans, go see the house. Tis creepy, my friends. Tis very creepy. This is a fleur-de-lis. It's a symbol of New Orleans. So that is what I'm doing, okay? And again, if you are interested in how I did this, check out the description box below. But today, that was the story of Marie LaLaurie. I just rhymed. That's pretty good. So if you guys don't mind, please make sure to like the video, subscribe, share, tell a friend, whatever you want to do. I just rhymed again. Oh gosh, I'm on it. I am on it, my friends. I am going to post a picture of this finished product, okay? Because I'm not quite done with this. I'm still working on getting the story and the painting together. But if you guys have a suggestion of what story you want me to do next time, let me know. You can make a comment and I will read the comments and I'll respond, and we'll figure out what we're doing next time. My request though, I would like to not have anything really too focused on children. I can't. It's not great. Not great for me, not great for you. Yeah. Okay. And so we don't have to do just murderers and all that. We could do some crazy stories. So whatever works for you guys. I haven't even really looked at it. Yeah, my arms are a little off. It's okay. I'm painting sideways. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to use full words today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time, okay? Have a good day.